This is your WITN Morning News Update on 103.7 WTIB and 94.1 WNBU.
52 degrees at 7:05. Good morning. I'm Trent McGee with your Talk of the Town news headlines. Donald Trump has been elected the 45th president of the United States of America. More than 130 million Americans headed to the polls Tuesday to decide the country's new leader in an election that turned into a nail-biter. The Republican nominee won Wednesday after capturing Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes, putting him over the 270 vote threshold. North Carolina Republican Governor Pat McCrory, locked in a tight race with Democrat Roy Cooper, told supporters that the election isn't over and that they need to respect the election system. The governor also alluded to voting troubles in Durham County, where a computer glitch led to extended voting hours. McCrory had appeared to be ahead late Tuesday, but that was before the results of ballots at 5 early voting sites in Durham County had been reported to the state. McCrory said the final result will depend on the county canvass's schedule for November 18th. Meanwhile, Cooper has declared victory in North Carolina's governor's race. Republicans swept nearly all major races across North Carolina on Tuesday, including the 2 contested legislative races in Pitt County. Greg Murphy defeated Brian Farkas for the House District 9 seat. And in the county's other contested legislative race, incumbent Republican Susan Martin narrowly defeated her Democratic challenger, Charlie Pat Ferris, by 202 votes. The victory of Pitt County's 2 state representatives appears to have mirrored Republican victories across the state, with U.S. Senator Richard Burr retaining his seat, receiving 51%. The ballots counted over Deborah Ross's 45%, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest receiving 51.88% of the votes cast in his race against Linda Coleman, who had 45.27%. And again, more to come on the governor's race in just a few minutes with Henry, who was live in Raleigh this morning. Other election news from Tuesday. First Democratic Congressional G.K. Butterfield won another term. Butterfield defeated Republican challenger H. Powell Dew with 63% of the vote, and Butterfield had 145,159 votes to 66,736 for Dew. Butterfield has served as congressman in the 1st District since 2004. And Congressman Jones, the 3rd District Republican candidate, congressman, easily won another term. Jones defeated Democratic challenger Ernest Reeves in that race. Jones has served as the congressman in the 3rd District since 1995. You're now up to date at 7:07. Partly to mostly cloudy skies today with a 20% chance of the showers late in the day. Highs in the middle 60s. For tonight, partly cloudy before clearing late. Lows in the lower 40s. For your Thursday, mostly sunny and dry with highs in the lower 60s. Lows for your Thursday night around 42 degrees. And for your Friday, plenty of sunshine for Veterans Day with a high of 70 degrees and lows in the mid 40s. Right now, 52 degrees in Greenville, 53 in New Bern. Talk of the Town live this morning on location in Raleigh. A lot to get to from the capital city. Stay tuned for that. Henry's up next. The time on this Talk of the Town Wednesday is 7:08.
Eastern North Carolina's truck headquarters is
East Carolina Chrysler Dodge Jeep. We have over 100 new Rams in stock. That's the largest in Eastern North Carolina.
If you're in the market for a new truck, now is the time. Ram Power Days are going on now through October 31st. Buy now and get 20% off MSRP on select Ram trucks.
East Carolina Chrysler Dodge Jeep. Across from the Cracker Barrel in Greenville.
Every wireless provider has towers in the city, but U.S. Cellular put towers in places the other guys didn't. So you can video chat at your secret fishing spot or stream way out here. Because U.S. Cellular thinks you deserve a signal that works wherever you are. U.S. Cellular, a stronger signal in the middle of anywhere.
Visit Real Wireless, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent in Ahoskie, Williamston, and Windsor for the best deals in wireless and great service on a network that works in the middle of anywhere.
I'm Matthew Sessoms, General Manager at Washington Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We're planning on breaking sales records this month because the end of the year means huge savings for you. Our customers are very important to us, and we are striving to be Eastern North Carolina's best in sales and service. Stop in and see us at our Black Friday event. Get 20% off select new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram trucks at the all-new Washington Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and WashingtonChrysler.com.
Pirate Nation, your East Carolina men's and women's basketball teams tip off their 2016-17 seasons on Friday the 11th with a doubleheader in Minges Coliseum. First, the women take on Greensboro at 5:30 p.m., and then the men battle Grambling at 8. Get your tickets today by calling 800-DIAL-ECU or go online at ecupirates.com. Be a part of the undaunted fan base all season long, starting with the doubleheader this Friday the 11th.
Top Dog Academy is Eastern North Carolina's complete dog training facility. Top Dog provides an excellent environment for dogs of all ages with training services and work week daycare. Top Dog is located on Highway 43 South, just 4 miles from Bells Fork, and features a comfortable, healthy environment and a spacious facility for daycare and a brand new, beautiful facility for training. Call 752-8215 or visit topdogonline.com.
Come on out Highway 43 South to Top Dog Academy, where we know dogs.
Welcome into Talk of the Town with Henry Hinton.
People say I am the best boss. They go, God, we've never worked in a place like this before. You're hilarious.
News, weather, sports, and of course, all the local info you need to start your day.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Here we go! Catch Talk of the Town live on 103.7 WTIB and 94.1 WNBU. What? Cable 7 in Greenville and worldwide at WTIBFM.com. What? Now here's the host for Talk of the Town. Yes. Henry Hinton.
All right, welcome in, everybody. 12 minutes after 7 o'clock. What a night last night. We're coming to you live this morning from the heart of the state capitol. We are in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are live at the Hampton Inn and Suites on Glenwood Avenue in downtown Raleigh, just blocks away from the state capitol and the governor's mansion and the legislative building. And man, what a night last night. I got my buddy Brad Crone. We're going to have all sorts of folks coming in throughout the morning. I first, before we get started, I got to say thanks to our friends here at the Hampton Inn and Suites, Tom Glennon and John Van Coutren and the whole crowd from Greenville. They own this hotel, and this is my favorite hotel in Raleigh now. I stay here all the time. Rizzo and Michael got here early enough this morning to have breakfast. Good morning, Rizzo. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Henry.
What time did you have to get up to get over here?
I got up at 3:30 this morning.
3:30?
Yep, but unlike Brad,
that's about when I went to bed last night. Yeah. What'd you say?
I said, unlike Brad, I got some sleep last night.
I'm just trying to sober up this morning, Henry. Holy smokes. Where's the bourbon? I still need to drink some.
I really don't know who's going to show up. We're in the conference room at the Hampton Inn and Suites in downtown Raleigh. I seriously don't know who's going to show up. We had invited lots of people, but it was such a late night last night. I'm not sure who's going to come.
We're still counting votes.
I know it.
I mean, how do you explain Donald Trump winning the state of North Carolina, having coattails with the Council of State?
I know it.
And Governor McCrory still coming up 5,000 votes short.
HB2. I have to say, I was interviewed by a Charlotte TV station last night, and I was mad at the time. But let me first of all say, Brad Crone, who, of course, people know, one of the top political strategists in the state. His business is Campaign Connections here in Raleigh. Brad is an old friend. He and I have been doing NC Spin for years before I stopped doing it. But Brad is one of the top political minds, really, in the history of the state of North Carolina. And we convinced. I was happy because I was convincing Brad to get up early and come over here, but when he came in this morning, he told me he hadn't been to bed yet.
Not been to bed. I mean, literally, we've been sifting through the numbers. And, I'm a Democrat, have been a Democrat. I'm a pro-business Democrat. I started in politics for Locke Fairclough when he was running for governor in 1983, 84. Fairclough saved my life in an airplane crash up in Marion. So, I am a product of the conservative wing of the Democratic Party, which is non-existent at this point in time.
It's pretty much true.
And This is the single worst defeat. And I sort of regress a little bit because Faircloth, first thing he did, first day I went to work for him, we stopped in Chapel Hill, and he bought me Leffler Newsom, History of a Southern State, and textbook on North Carolina history, preeminent professors in North Carolina history. And every night I had to read a chapter in that book, and then the next day we went over North Carolina history. So I tell people I got my master's degree in North Carolina history from Locke Faircloth University.
No kidding.
And it is the single worst defeat in the history of the Democratic, in the modern day history of the Democratic Party here in the state. And with the
except for the governor's race.
Except for the governor's race and the attorney general's position.
And another race that we're going to have to talk about, it's a nonpartisan race on the ballot, but everybody knows that it's not really.
Absolutely.
A big loss for conservatives last night in the state of North Carolina with the loss of the seat, Bob Edmonds' seat on the Supreme Court.
And I've got to believe that's ballot placement. I have to believe that is ballot placement. Yeah, well, I think there was maybe a net gain of one seat.
I think it was a net gain of one seat in the House, maybe one seat in the Senate.
Yeah, they did pick up a seat in the Senate because Jane Smith got defeated in Robeson County.
And you know the conventional wisdom is that Republicans were going to lose 10 to 14 seats in the House, and they actually picked up a seat again. You got to think it's got a lot to do with Trump coattails.
The Trump tide definitely had coattails. Absolutely no doubt about it.
You know, Brad, we kept seeing these polls that showed Trump winning North Carolina, but Pat McCrory behind 1 or 2 points in North Carolina, and I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that was even possible. But that's exactly what turned out to be the case. It's not explainable that Pat McCrory did not win last night. And of course, we're going to get into the whole situation with the governor's race. Folks, I have a feeling that this is going to be drug out for weeks.
Yes, it will be drug out for weeks.
And I suspect there's going to be litigation.
Yeah, I heard about 3:30 when you were driving up here, there are probably about 8,000 ballots that are still out. That you've got provisional ballots, and then you have mail-in ballots from veterans. They have to be in, and they will be counted, I understand, on Thursday as a part of the canvass. So, the other big story about this is Durham County.
Yeah. Here's the thing. 90,000 early voting ballots uploaded last night after midnight. And the governor was winning by about 50,000 votes.
Till those votes
when those votes got uploaded in Durham County. Again, folks, these were early voting ballots. 90,000 of them uploaded at about 12:15 last night, which swung the race back to Cooper. And Cooper, at that point, McCrory was up about 45 to 50,000 votes. And then we looked, and all of a sudden, Cooper was up 2,000 votes. And we were like, what just happened?
The only interesting thing, Henry, out of that is that we've always known Durham County's a dumpster fire, especially the Board of Elections.
I'm glad to hear a Democrat say that.
Especially at the Board of Elections, even when the Democrats run it. So the Republicans are running the Board of Elections in Durham now, and they had this problem. This is on them. And they have to reconcile that.
18 minutes after 7. Welcome in this morning. We are live in Raleigh. On the telephone now, the victorious legislator, Dr. Greg Murphy, who wins District 9 easily last night, 57% to 42% over the Democratic challenger, Brian Farkas. Dr. Greg Murphy, the only legislator the only physician in the legislature, and now he will remain the only doctor in the legislature. Good morning, Greg Murphy. How are you?
I'm well, Henry. I hope you are.
Yeah, how you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling good. I'm a little tired, but I'm feeling good. It was a tough 3 weeks, physically and mentally, but I am deeply humbled by the support that I received. Nice bipartisan, cross-sectional support, which I think really serves as a good mandate that I'm to do the work of my district. So for everyone, every single person in the district.
District 9 is all inside Pitt County, and it is considered a swing district, which means it could go Republican, could go Democrat. You win nearly 58% of the vote. We saw ads, Democrats for Murphy. We saw a Facebook post from some very prominent Democrats in Pitt County. When you say bipartisan support, I've never seen bipartisan support like you had.
Well, I'm deeply humbled by it, deeply appreciative of it. But Henry, as I've said to many folks, I didn't ask to do this. I didn't plan to have a career in politics, and I was asked, and I believe it is just reflective of work and service that I've done in the community over the last 20-plus years, which has been totally nonpartisan. When you take care of people and you serve everyone. And so I'm deeply humbled that I will now continue to do that, not only as a physician, but continue to do what I believe is good work in Raleigh for our county and our state.
You're juggling an office meeting, a hospital meeting, and you also have to go to the operating room, I heard this morning.
Yeah.
Dr. Murphy, I don't know how you do what you do. It's pretty amazing that you've been able to keep your schedule as one of the most prominent physicians in our community and continue to serve in the legislature. When do you sleep?
I really don't, Henry. I've got a kind of funny sleep schedule. I have one of those rare brains that doesn't require as much sleep. And but when I got things to do, I got things to do. I don't have many hobbies. I don't watch much TV, and most of all, I have a wonderful supporting wife and a wonderful supporting God. So.
Well, this is your first election. You were appointed, of course, when Brian Brown
stepped down.
No, Henry,
it's not my first election. I was class president in high school.
No, this was your first election. I know you've been appointed to things like the Davidson Board of Trustees, and you've been very active at Davidson and other places. But this is an experience where you were out there at the polls early voting just about every day. It's pretty amazing to watch it. Yeah.
17 days, 10 hours a day.
How was that experience for you?
Numbing.
Yeah.
It was very challenging. It's one of the most difficult experiences I've had in my life. I've had a lot of difficult experiences, 5 years of surgical residency, and standing next to your opponent from 5 to 8 feet for 10 hours a day. Brian Farkas is a nice young man. We developed a nice friendship. But it's obviously that we differ on lots of issues, and it was a difficult time. I have to say I'm very glad it's over with.
Dr. Murphy, this is Brad Crone. Congratulations. I did not work in your race. I've worked down there for Marion McGlawhorn during her tenure in the state legislature and Edith Warren. But what do you see as the big issues when you're coming into Raleigh for the next session for, I reckon it will be 153rd session of the legislature?
Well, if Cooper is the governor, I think some of the issues will be Medicaid expansion. It'll be what we do with the Charlotte Ordinance and the resultant HB2. I think the state is on a tremendous path because of our governor's leadership in a business frame point, and I'm very optimistic that our Senate and House will continue that. I don't think we're going to let McCrory go back to days when the business state of the state was as poor as it was. It's in a very, very good state now. But it's honestly a time of healing. This is my first election, and I got my eyes wide open with a lot of things. But it's time to pull together and continue to do the work. I have a lot of issues specifically with medicine that I'd like to get on the docket and to work towards. So looking forward to it.
Dr. Greg Murphy, who wins a second term, a full term now in the North Carolina legislature. Greg, while you're here, and Brad and I were talking about this before you got on, if you got another second, and if you got to go, I know you're very busy this morning. We were just talking about with the Trump victory, what happens now? By the way. What happens now to Obamacare? And Brad just made a good point because, Brad, you're saying that contracts will run out January 21st?
Yes, contracts will go. Well, January 21st, I think you'll see the Republican Congress with Trump repeal and start the replacement process on the Affordable Care Act.
I mean, it's the trifecta at the federal level, because the Republicans now will control the Senate, the House, and the presidency, and they'll be able to do what they want to do, including all the things that Trump has been promising, starting with, he said day one he would repeal Obamacare, and they're going to do that, aren't they?
Absolutely. They're going to repeal it. And so the Speaker of the House had laid out in his plan a better plan, or a better way, I think the name of the plan was, a mechanism for the repeal of the Affordable Care Act and a replacement mechanism. So the House of Medicine will have to come to the table, the Hospital Association, the Medical Society, pharmaceutical industry, insurance industry, and really work with the new administration to develop a model, because it will really go into effect probably going into 2018, because your insurance contracts under the Affordable Care Act are already in place. You have open enrollment at this point in time, so they will have to honor that process. And it'll give them time, too, 12 months to be able to get into the process of doing that. So the impact, though, for the last 6 years, the whole healthcare sector has worked to move to their model, to a payment model based on the accountable care organizations, as well as your bundling payments to physicians and the hospitals. So the House of Medicine.
If I may interject.
Absolutely.
Being a practicing physician, knowing that law, knowing what's happening, I said 4 or 5 years ago that all this was never going to work. And that a lot of it was a waste of time, and I was somewhat chastised by my medical colleagues, but I'm a realist, and I looked at the picture and I just realized it wasn't going to work. You know, we want everybody in the country, specifically everybody in our state and our county, to have affordable, accessible health care. Hands down. Hands down. But, as with everything in society, we have to figure out how to pay for it and how to implement it. And that's where the Affordable Care Act failed miserably.
You know, the thing about it is, Dr. Murphy, as Brad has pointed out, we've been years now moving to this model. How are hospitals and medical practices like your own going to be able to adjust to whatever comes next? I mean, is it going to be massively disruptive?
By curves. We've been adjusting with curveballs thrown to us by the Affordable Care Act since its inception. 3 weeks ago, I have another new mandate to pay for interpreters for people who speak Marathi. And when you have a Medicaid patient that pays $14 for an office visit and an hour of an interpreter, which is a minimum that pays $200, you lose $186 on a patient. You don't break even, you lose it. So these are things that Obamacare and Affordable Care Act is literally designed to drive private practice, which is the most efficient form of medicine in the United States, to drive it out of business. So there's a better way. There's a better way.
And that's bringing free market enterprise and free market forces to the table. Doc, my personal physician just got mad. He's 63 years old. He shut down his practice. He said, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And gave everybody 2 weeks notice and closed the doors.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the impact that it's had. So there will be transition, but everybody's going to have to come to the table and figure out what's going to be able to work.
I know you got to go 28 minutes after 7 again. If you're just doing us, Talk of the Town live in Raleigh this morning, and Brad Crone from Campaign Connections here in the makeshift studio with us here at the Hampton Suites, downtown Raleigh. Dr. Greg Murphy on the telephone. Greg, I can't let you go without getting a reaction to the governor's race, which of course is the big story. The governor has not conceded. Roy Cooper has announced that he has won. As Brad and I were just talking about, this is going to get drug out. We're not going to know. We're not going to have a true winner of the governor's race probably for weeks here in North Carolina. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm saddened because I actually think that Governor Corey did a very good job. I really think he did. I think he got some wrongful lattices placed around his neck, and I I support obviously whoever the governor is, but I think that Pat McCrory did a very good job. There were a few controversial things, but for 98% of the time, I think he did a very good job. I'm saddened to see him, if he does lose the gubernatorial race, to see him do it.
Greg Murphy, thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Huge victory for Greg Murphy last night. 22,540 votes for Greg Murphy, 16,648 votes for the challenger, Brian Farkas, 57% to 42%. And Greg Murphy is returned to the North Carolina House of Representatives. Doc, it's great to hear your voice. Thank you for all you do, and thanks for being on with us this morning.
You're very welcome.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. 7:30 right now. We are live in Raleigh, but McGee is back in the studio. And I understand we have other folks in the studio, which we'll get to in just a second. We, again, are live in Raleigh. I want to thank our friends at the Hampton Inn and Suites in downtown Raleigh. If you need a place to stay in Raleigh, let me suggest that you stay here. I love this place. This has become my favorite Raleigh hangout. It's like my second home. When I came in last night, they called me by name. Michael, the guys have been so accommodating in here for us this morning. They gave us the conference room. We've turned it into our own studio. We might just have to make this our Raleigh studio from now. I like this a lot. But thanks to Tom Glennon, John Van Kucher, and all the folks at Hampton Inn and Suites. Stay here, folks. I promise you'll love it. There are about 15 places within 3 blocks you can walk to have a nice meal or have a drink. I actually went down to the beer garden last night as soon as I got here because I hadn't had much to eat yesterday, and I had one of their soft pretzels. I didn't have a beer. I had an unsweet tea because that's what I do, as boring as my life is. But it's just half a block away. And have you had those?
I wish I could say that. Mine was bourbon, but
I will say that
the beer garden's great. This whole area of town's really great. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
It really is.
It's just really a great section.
And this hotel's been a great addition. I got a funny story to tell you about that. I had been drinking water all night last night, emceeing the event at the Marriott over at Crabtree Valley. I'd been drinking, and then at the end of the night, we were all so bummed out about the way the governor's race went. A gentleman walked up and handed me a adult beverage,
yes.
And I thought, it was like 1 a.m, and I thought, why not? I haven't had one all day. So
a nightcap.
A morning cap. I literally started to partake, and Rahima Ellis from NBC News walked up to me with a camera and stuck a camera in my face while I got a drink in my hand. And I was like, I had been joking with her all night, and I said, I said, I got to put this down if you got that camera on. So I handed it to someone, and Rahima Ellis did an interview with me, which I am told was supposed to run on Morning Joe this morning. I don't know if it did.
Well, the most interesting, talking about liquor, most interesting race I had this campaign cycle was up in Alexander County. It was the last dry county west of I-77, and all the liquor by the drink referendums won in Alexander County. They have defeated it 3 times over the last 10 years, and we finally got ABC privileges, beer and wine privileges, and liquor by the drink in Alexander County.
Welcome to 2016. Actually, welcome to 1975.
Right.
All right, 7:33. Let's go back to the Greenville studios now. McGee standing by. Here's McGee on sports. Good morning, Trent.
All right, good morning, Henry. Good to hear you guys there from Raleigh this morning, you and Brad both. Sports-wise, Zay Jones continuing to climb up the ECU record ladder with his possessions, and we'll keep an eye on that this weekend as the Pirates and SMU square off at 12 noon inside Downey-Ficklin Stadium on Military Appreciation Day. Jones needs just 20 catches now to catch former teammate Justin Hardy and to break the all-time FBS receptions record. We'll see if he can do that coming up this weekend, if not certainly attainable in the next couple of games for ECU. After the SMU game for the Pirates, it's going to be Navy on November 19th, and the Pirates will close things out against Temple to end the regular season. Washington moved into fourth in the college football playoff rankings, putting the 4 remaining unbeaten teams from the Power 5 conferences at the top of the selection committee's second top 25. Alabama, Clemson, and Michigan still hold the top 3 spots. The committee's first ranking of the season caused a bit of a stir because the unbeaten Huskies were behind Texas A&M last week. The Aggies then went out and lost at Mississippi State to clear up the mini controversy. Ohio State is behind Washington right now at 5th. And the New Jersey Devils rallied to defeat the Carolina Hurricanes Tuesday night 3-2. Corey Schneider had 31 saves in that win, including an outstanding glove stop on Sebastian Owa with 1:48 left in the third period. That's your sports update at 7:34. We'll take a timeout and come back. No, we'll go back to Henry now, who's live in Raleigh. Hen, take it away.
All right, thank you much, McGee. Our sports update brought to you by Homer Tire and the folks at Tire Realty, the official real estate team of the ECU Pirates. You hear us talking all the time about Tire Realty's long list of qualified buyers. Well, the Tire Realty Group has hundreds of buyers looking for specific types of homes right now, and they match these buyers to new homes coming on the market. For example, Tire Realty just listed a home in the Brittany Ridge subdivision in Pitt County and sold it in only 22 days. That's the power of Tire Realty. And currently, there is a 29% decline in the number of homes for sale. The market is hot again in Greenville and Pitt County, so they need homes to sell. If you're thinking about listing, there's only one phone number to call, and that's the Tire Realty Group at 758-HOME. Remember, with Tire Realty, there are no upfront fees. They offer flexible commissions. You can fire them if you're not happy. They're not going to hold you to a 6-month contract. And the best part of all, their 99-day guarantee. If they do not sell your home within 99 days, they sell it for free. They put their paycheck on the line because they're that confident in their team's aggressive marketing. Call the folks at Tire Realty Group today at 758-HOME. That's 758-4663 or online at 99orfree.com, 99orfree.com. All right, 736. Let's go to break. Special thanks to our crew this morning. Michael Buscemi, our production manager here with me in Raleigh. Mark Rizzo, who's with me here in Raleigh. And also Pat Jones back in the studio this morning. Mudflap twisting the dials this morning. We'll be right back live in Raleigh.
Event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
My prescription refills.
My son's shot records.
My doctor's appointments.
My lab results.
My parents' care.
My chart.
Vidant My Chart.
Vidant My Chart is the secure online patient portal that lets you manage your health your way. Visit VidantMyChart.com or call 1-855-MyVidant to learn how you can sign up.
That's a tough shot.
You're right. Can't bear to look. This must be what Luke Kuechly feels like when he takes the field.
Man, this is what Kevin must have felt like when he switched that game winner.
Look for limited edition Pepsi Panthers cans and packaging in stores now. Pepsi, official soft drink of the Carolina Panthers.
Football fans, join the Undaunted crew on Saturday, November 12th, when East Carolina football takes on the Mustangs of SMU at noon. Celebrate Military Appreciation Weekend with military-themed displays, a pregame flyover, and much more. For tickets or more information, call 800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com. Join Pirate Nation and show your undaunted support for Pirate football and our military on Saturday the 12th at noon versus SMU.
Every wireless provider has towers in the city, but US Cellular put towers in places the other guys didn't. So you can video chat at your secret fishing spot or stream way out here. Because U.S. Cellular thinks you deserve a signal that works wherever you are. U.S. Cellular, a stronger signal in the middle of anywhere.
Visit Real Wireless, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent in Ahoskie, Williamston, and Windsor for the best deals in wireless and great service on a network that works in the middle of anywhere.
We're setting prices way back at Greenville Toyota. Camrys, not $20,000, just $16,900. That's Camrys, fallback price $16,900. Plus, get our advantage during the fallback savings event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
This is your WITN Morning News Update on 103.7 WTIB and 94.1 WNBU.
21 before the top of the hour, 48 degrees in Greenville, 50 in New Bern. I'm Trent McGee with your Talk of the Town news headlines. Donald Trump has been elected the 45th president of the United States. More than 130 million Americans headed to the polls Tuesday to decide the country's new leader in an election that turned into a nail-biter. The Republican nominee won Wednesday after capturing Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes, putting him over the 270-vote threshold. North Carolina Republican Governor Pat McCrory, locked in a tight race with Democrat Roy Cooper, told supporters that the election isn't over and that they need to respect the election system. The governor also alluded to voting troubles in Durham County, where a computer glitch led to extended voting hours. McCrory had appeared to be ahead late Tuesday, but that was before the results of ballots at 5 early voting sites in Durham County had been reported to the state. McCrory said the final result will depend on the county canvass's schedule for November 18th. Meanwhile, Cooper has declared victory in North Carolina's governor's race. Republicans swept nearly all the major races across North Carolina on Tuesday, including the 2 contested legislative races in Pitt County. Greg Murphy defeated Brian Farkas for the House District 9 seat. Incumbent Republican Susan Martin narrowly defeated her challenger, Charlie Pat Ferris, by 202 votes. 3rd District Republican Congressman Walter Jones easily won another term. Jones defeated Democratic challenger Ernest Reeves. Jones has served as the congressman in the 3rd District since 1995. 1st District Democrat Congressman G.K. Butterfield won another term. Butterfield defeated Republican challenger H. Powell Dew. Butterfield has served as the congressman in the 1st District since 2004. Republican Richard Burr of North Carolina was reelected to the Senate. Burr turned away a strong challenge from former state representative Deborah Ross. It was one of the nation's most closely watched Senate races as Democrats sought to regain control of the upper chamber on Tuesday. The 60-year-old Burr has been in Congress since 1994. And incumbents Tom Colson and Beth Ward on Tuesday defeated challengers to retain their seats on the Pitt County Board of Commissioners. You're now up to date at 7:41.
Eastern Carolina
Your weather forecast for today, partly to mostly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of rain, highs in the middle 60s. For tonight, partly cloudy before clearing late with lows in the low 40s. Sunny skies and dry for your Thursday with highs in the lower 60s. Lows tomorrow night around 42 degrees. And abundant sunshine on tap for Veterans Day on Friday with a high of 70 degrees and lows in the mid-40s. The weekend looking good. Of course, Mumfest taking place this weekend. That's where Talk of the Town will be live tomorrow in New Bern, getting you set for Mumfest 2016. 55 degrees for the high on Saturday, 58 for Sunday. Plenty of sunshine on tap as that cold front moves our way coming in on Friday. Again, right now, 50 degrees in Greenville, 52 in New Bern. We'll throw it back to Henry, who's live in Raleigh. Henry, take it away.
Thank you, sir. 7:43. We are back live in Raleigh. Brad Crone from Campaign Connections is here in the makeshift studio with me at the Hampton Inn and Suites. And John Hood, syndicated columnist. Brad, sometimes I call John the smartest man in North Carolina, but, with you in here, I'll wait till you're gone before I call him that. John was on.
I do not qualify for that, I promise you.
John Hood, our syndicated columnist, you know him from NC Spin and many other things that he does in North Carolina, and was on our coverage last night from the North Carolina Network. Good morning, Mr. Hood. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, and again, I will say, as I do every time, that you should stop insulting the intelligence of North Carolina.
By the way, great job in the interview this weekend with D.G. Nichols. I watched the whole interview on public television this weekend.
You watched an entire program on public television?
Now, wait a minute. I am actually the liaison for the Board of Governors to UNC TV. I've changed my views on public television just until my term ends. Brad Crone has got to go. So, Brad, closing thoughts. One thing that we talked about the Supreme Court race, and the fact that Bob Edmonds lost badly. My friend Scott Dacey, who's a county commissioner down in Craven County, has been emailing me saying he talked with an election official in Craven County, and that everybody feels like where Bob Edmonds' name appeared on the ballot was kind of a cluster. And John, weigh in on this as well. But Brad, there was a real strange thing about the way the Supreme Court race was listed versus the other.
Just during the break, we're sitting here talking about the fact that how do you have a Supreme Court race be nonpartisan and then a Court of Appeals race and district court races partisan? I mean, that really doesn't make any sense.
Why did the legislature do that? I don't understand it.
Well, it wasn't entirely intentional. What they were trying to do was help Bob Edmonds get reelected by having him just be on the ballot by himself in a nonpartisan retention election. Oh, and by the way, allow the Republicans to gain or to retain seats on the Court of Appeals by making those races partisan. Those two concepts are not consistent, but they had a partisan intent. The problem is it blew up in their face, and I was computing the number of voters who stopped voting after they got past president and Senate and so forth. And actually a large number, 92, 93%, stuck for the Court of Appeals races because they had party labels on them. But then only 84%, I think it was, cast ballots for Supreme Court. Now, that doesn't make any sense unless you understand that voters are more likely to gravitate towards races they have at least some information about, R and D. They skipped the Supreme Court race, or they thought Mike Morgan was the Republican.
This is going to be a big deal, is it not? Yeah. The Supreme Court will now flip from Republican control to Democrat control, even though the legislature is going to be totally controlled by the Republicans. Now, you do have a potential.
And it will be the check. It'll be the check. It'll be the legal check
because I would assume that they've got a veto override with the number of houses, House seats and Senate seats that they have now.
They do have. They maintain the supermajority. I think the net loss in the North Carolina House will be one seat, and the net gain for the Republicans in the Senate will be one seat.
So the effect of that, by the way, just for those who don't understand how it works, is that if Cooper prevails in this governor's race, he is going to be governor in name only because he will have no power to do anything until it gets to the Supreme Court. That's where the real check's going to be, Brad, because the Supreme Court can overturn anything. And we've seen that happen in places like Pennsylvania and other places where you have a Republican-controlled legislature but a Democratically controlled Supreme Court.
And we're going to see the political strength of Roy Cooper and whether or not he has the tenacity to reach across the aisle to work with the Senate leadership, who I continue to say Phil Berger's the most important man in the state of North Carolina, and with the Speaker of the House, Tim Moore. But one thing before I leave, I think we were talking earlier before we went on the air about Trump's statement of healing the wounds of this divided nation. And I thought that was really important. I also think it was important for Mr. Trump to congratulate Mrs. Clinton on her years of service and sort of back away from this lock her up mentality. Because if the Republicans and the faction continue to go down the road of lock her up, we will truly be at political civil war in this country. So the election's over. As Americans, we have to come together. And I think that starts with the president. He signaled that last night. So I thought that was a very encouraging move for us as a country. We've had divisive elections before, 1800 in particular, the Adams-Jefferson race, and we've overcome it. This by far is historical in the sense that it was basically not predicted that Hillary was supposed to win. And it also signals the end of what I call modern day polling because they
were all wrong.
The anomalies there were all wrong.
Almost all were wrong. That's true.
So we've got to come, as a nation, we've got to stop yelling at each other, and we've got to start moving from the polar opposites into the middle to try and figure out, as a nation, how do we compromise and how do we build consensus?
You know what? That is well said. Thank you for saying it, Brad. We've had very polarizing candidates on both sides. Now Trump is going to be president, so he's got to lead like a leader now.
Yeah, he does.
He's got to lead
and
govern like a leader.
He has the platform to really change the nation.
Yeah.
And one other interesting thing, and I do have to go, he has moved the Republican Party from a conservative party to a national populist party in one day on two issues, on immigration and on trade. And those were sort of catapults for him to his base. And it will be interesting to see now that he's going to have the throne to govern with two, he's got to make peace with Mitch and with the Speaker of the House and put together a governing agenda. I think he'll have good people behind him. I know several of them working on the legislative side. And it's going to be an intriguing time in our history as a country.
Brad Crone from Campaign Connections. Brad, thank you so much for doing this. Great to see you. Brad joined us here live this morning at the Hampton Inn and Suites in downtown Raleigh, right in the heart of the Capitol. We're just a couple of blocks away from the legislature and the governor's mansion. We were expecting a lot of guests to come in this morning. It was such a late night. I can't even get Dan Forrest over here, who won big last night. But Dan, I think, is sleeping in. Tim Moore is sleeping in. We thought we were going to get them all. But my buddy John Hood made it. You're the best, John. You're the best.
Well, some of us just don't need sleep.
I didn't get any either. All right, let's take a break and come back. Tom Campbell from NC Spin's going to join us. Doug Raymond is back in the studio. We're going to get Doug's reaction. He was Greg Murphy's consultant. Obviously a big win in the legislature in Greenville there. And a lot more to come here live this morning from Raleigh. It is Talk of the Town on the road this morning. Our election coverage will continue live from downtown Raleigh right after this.
Event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
My prescription refills.
My sunshot records.
My doctor's appointments.
My lab results.
My parents' care.
My chart.
Vidant MyChart.
Vidant MyChart is the secure online patient portal that lets you manage your health your way. Visit VidantMyChart.com or call 1-855-MyVidant to learn how you can sign up.
That's a tough shot.
You're right. Can't bear to look. This must be what Luke Kuechly feels like when he takes the field.
Man, this is what Kevin must have felt like when he switched that game winner.
Look for limited edition Pepsi Panthers cans and packaging in stores now. Pepsi, official soft drink of the Carolina Panthers.
Football fans, join the Undaunted Crew on Saturday, November 12th, when East Carolina football takes on the Mustangs of SMU at noon. Celebrate Military Appreciation Weekend with military-themed displays, a pregame flyover, and much more. For tickets or more information, call 800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com. Join Pirate Nation and show your undaunted support for Pirate football and our military on Saturday the 12th at noon versus SMU.
Every wireless provider has towers in the city, but U.S. Cellular put towers in places the other guys didn't. So you can video chat at your secret fishing spot or stream way out here. Because U.S. Cellular thinks you deserve a signal that works wherever you are. U.S. Cellular, a stronger signal in the middle of anywhere.
Visit Real Wireless, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent in Ahoskie, Williamston, and Windsor for the best deals in wireless and great service on a network that works in the middle of anywhere.
We're setting prices way back at Greenville Toyota. Camrys, not $20,000, just $16,900. That's Camrys, fallback price $16,900. Plus, get our advantage during the fallback savings event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Okay, welcome back. We are live in downtown Raleigh. It is Talk of the Town this morning. Our election coverage continues live from downtown Raleigh, the Hampton Inn and Suites. We have a great lineup of guests coming up, including John Hood, who is here with us. Brad Crone has left the building. Tom Campbell has come into the building, so we're going to get to Tom after the top of the hour. But, John, we were just talking about the events of last night and where this leaves. It looked like the Republican Party was going to be decimated 6 months ago. And now this morning, in the wake of this election, what you've got is a Democratic Party at the national level that is totally decimated.
Yes, the Republican Party, its tensions, its pressures, the conflict between what will now become the Trump Party in Washington and the Congress Party in Washington has gotten a tremendous amount of attention. But these are all tensions that illustrate the breadth and depth of what is now a governing majority party in the country. The Democrats, as a national party, almost don't exist at this moment. Their nominee proved to be the only Democrat probably that could lose to Donald Trump, and did. They have been wiped out down the ballot. They actually had a net loss, and this is assuming that Cooper holds on in North Carolina. They had a net loss of governorships last night. The Democrats did. They may have had a net loss in the legislature. So the Democratic Party has an uncertain future, at least in the short term, and the Republican Party has to figure out how to govern.
All right, John Hood here with me. We are live in downtown Raleigh. We're going to get a news break in. We're up against a hard break here. Tom Campbell from NC Spin will join us after the top of the hour. Doug Raymond is back in our studio. I guess Doug's still there. We had so much going on here. We hadn't gotten to Doug yet. Doug had a big win in the Greg Murphy race last night. We were happy to talk to Dr. Murphy earlier. Live from Raleigh this morning is the Hampton Inn and Suites in downtown Raleigh on Glenwood Avenue. Talk of the Town live this morning on 103.7 and 94.1. Stay with us. More post-election coverage. We'll talk about the governor's race when we come back right after 8.
My parents care.
My chart.
Vidant My Chart.
Vidant MyChart is the secure online patient portal that lets you manage your health your way. Visit VidantMyChart.com or call 1-855-MyVidant to learn how you can sign up.
That's a tough shot.
You're right. Can't bear to look. This must be what Luke Kuechly feels like when he takes the field.
Man, this is what Kevin must have felt like when he swished that game winner.
Look for limited edition Pepsi Panthers cans and packaging in stores now. Pepsi, official soft drink of the Carolina Panthers.
Football fans, join the Undaunted Crew on Saturday, November 12th, when East Carolina football takes on the Mustangs of SMU at noon. Celebrate Military Appreciation Weekend with military-themed displays, a pregame flyover, and much more. For tickets or more information, call 800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com. Join Pirate Nation and show your undaunted support for Pirate football and our military on Saturday the 12th at noon versus SMU.
Every wireless provider has towers in the city, but US Cellular put towers in places the other guys didn't. So you can video chat at your secret fishing spot or stream way out here. Because US Cellular thinks you deserve a signal that works wherever you are. U.S. Cellular, a stronger signal in the middle of anywhere.
Visit Real Wireless, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent in Ahoskie, Williamston, and Windsor for the best deals in wireless and great service on a network that works in the middle of anywhere.
We're setting prices way back at Greenville Toyota. Camrys, not $20,000, just $16,900. That's Camrys, fallback price $16,900. Plus, get our advantage during the fallback savings event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
This is your WITN Morning News Update on 103.7 WTIB and 94.1 WNBU.
Hour number 2 of this Talk of the Town. Here are your news headlines. Good morning. I'm Trent McGee. 48 degrees right now in Greenville. Donald Trump has been elected the 45th President of the United States. More than 130 million Americans headed to the polls Tuesday to decide the country's new leader in an election that turned into a nail-biter. The Republican nominee won Wednesday after capturing Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes, putting him over the 270-vote threshold. North Carolina Republican Governor Pat McCrory, locked in a tight race with Democrat Roy Cooper, told supporters that the election isn't over and that they need to respect the election system. The governor also alluded to voting troubles in Durham County, where a computer glitch led to extended voting hours. McCrory had appeared to be ahead late Tuesday, but that was before the results of ballots at 5 early voting sites in Durham County had been reported to the state. McCrory said the final result will depend on the county canvases scheduled for November 18th. Meanwhile, Cooper has declared victory in North Carolina's governor's race. Republicans swept nearly all the major races across North Carolina on Tuesday, including the 2 contested legislative races in Pitt County. Greg Murphy defeated Brian Farkas for the House District 9 seat, and incumbent Republican Susan Martin narrowly defeated her challenger, Charlie Pat Ferris, by 202 votes. In congressional races on Tuesday, 3rd District Republican Congressman Walter Jones easily won another term. Jones defeated the Democrat challenger Ernest Reeves. Jones has served as the congressman in the 3rd District since 1995. 1st District Democrat Congressman G.K. Butterfield won another term. Butterfield defeated Republican challenger H. Powell Dew. Butterfield has served as the congressman in the 1st District since 2004. Republican Richard Burr of North Carolina was reelected to the Senate. Burr turned away a strong challenge from former state Representative Deborah Ross. It was one of the nation's most closely watched Senate races as Democrats sought to regain control of the upper chamber on Tuesday. The 60-year-old Burr has been in Congress since 1994. Here locally, all 9 seats were up for re-election on the Pitt County Board of Education. In District 3, Mary Blunt Williams beat out Billy Peden, and Betsy Flanagan beat out Mark Wichard in District 4. Incumbents Tom Colson and Beth Ward defeated challengers to retain their seats on the Pitt County Board of Commissioners. And Wendy Hazelton was elected to be a district court judge in Judicial District 3A. Hazelton will be the first black woman to serve as a district court judge in Pitt County. You are now up to date at 5 past the hour. Partly to mostly cloudy skies for your Wednesday with a 20% chance of rain. Highs in the middle 60s for tonight. Partly cloudy before clearing late. Lows in the low 40s, making way for plenty of sunshine and dry conditions for your Thursday with highs in the lower 60s. Lows tomorrow night around 42 degrees. And for your Friday, Veterans Day, 70 degrees for the high. Plenty of sunshine on tap with lows in the mid-40s. When we come back, we'll throw it live to Raleigh, where Henry and the gang are live on location with your post-election coverage on this Wednesday. Talk of the Town. Stay tuned.
Event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
My prescription refills.
My son's shot records.
My doctor's appointments.
My lab results. My parents' care.
My chart.
Vidant My Chart.
Vidant MyChart is the secure online patient portal that lets you manage your health your way. Visit VidantMyChart.com or call 1-855-MyVidant to learn how you can sign up.
That's a tough shot.
You're right. Can't bear to look. This must be what Luke Kuechly feels like when he takes the field.
Man, this is what Kevin must have felt like when he swished that game winner.
Look for limited edition Pepsi Panthers cans and packaging in stores now. Pepsi, official soft drink of the Carolina Panthers.
Football fans, join the Undaunted Crew on Saturday, November 12th, when East Carolina football takes on the Mustangs of SMU at noon. Celebrate Military Appreciation Weekend with military-themed displays, a pregame flyover, and much more. For tickets or more information, call 800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com. Join Pirate Nation and show your undaunted support for Pirate football and our military on Saturday the 12th at noon versus SMU.
Every wireless provider has towers in the city, but U.S. Cellular put towers in places the other guys didn't. So you can video chat at your secret fishing spot or stream way out here. Because U.S. Cellular thinks you deserve a signal that works wherever you are. U.S. Cellular, a stronger signal in the middle of anywhere.
Visit Real Wireless, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent in Ahoskie, Williamston, and Windsor for the best deals in wireless and great service on a network that works in the middle of anywhere.
Who are you?
The greatest radio talk show host ever.
Wake up! This is a wake-up call.
We're almost ready to go live.
It's time for that radio show everyone loves.
Ready to party.
Start the party.
Party over here.
Welcome into the show. Catch Talk of the Town live on 103.7 WTIB and 94.1 WNBU. Cable 7 in Greenville and worldwide at WTIBFM.com. This is your home for local and community information, news, politics, sports, all the info you need to start your day. Now here's the host for Talk of the Town, Henry Hinton.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are live from the epicenter of state government. We are in Raleigh this morning, live downtown Raleigh at the Hampton Inn and Suites in our little makeshift studio they've given us here in the hotel. Thanks to Tom Glennon, John Van Kootring, and all the guys from the Hampton Inn and Suites here in downtown Raleigh. Our election coverage of a very historic night in North Carolina continues. I'm happy to have John Hood back for hour 2. And, of course, now Tom Campbell, the host and moderator of NC Spin, and the producer, has joined us. Good morning, Mr. Campbell. How are you?
Good morning, Henry.
Nice to see you. John, thank you for hanging around for this hour as well. We've, of course, the big stories we continue to cover. The big story, of course, nationwide is the presidential election, but there'll be analysis ad nauseum of that for the next several days. We will talk about that in a second, but let's just start off this hour again with the governor's race. The questions that remain here are: can Pat McCrory overcome this 5,001 vote deficit that Roy Cooper has on him with provisional ballots? And what in the heck happened in Durham County last night when 90,000 early vote numbers were uploaded to the State Board of Elections website? 90,000 early votes. This was not Election Day votes. These were early votes uploaded last night after midnight. Just unbelievable. And, John, we were talking about this earlier. This is not the first time we've seen something funky coming out of Durham County.
I can't even remember the number of times. I think I've been doing some kind of broadcasting on election night in North Carolina since 1992. And multiple times there have been either controversies about ballot boxes or polling places or extending of the time, which happened last night in 8 precincts in Durham. They had extended the time to vote for about between 20 and 60 minutes. So this is sort of part of the course. Durham and Greensboro, by the way, often also an area of election incompetence. Now, what this means with regard to the early vote, the vote for McCrory and Cooper is unclear. These are not just votes invented out of thin air. They can and will be recounted or rechecked.
In fact, it's automatic, isn't the recount will be automatic because it's under 0.5%.
Yeah, even if it wasn't automatic, it would clearly happen. Yeah.
And by the way, Chris Lasavitas, who is Governor McCrory's strategist, has agreed to talk to us. We're going to try to call him by phone this morning. He doesn't do interviews, but when we were leaving the Marriott at Crabtree Valley last night, he actually said, call me in the morning, I'll go on the air and we'll talk about this. Tom Campbell, you think Roy Cooper is premature in declaring that he's won?
5,000 votes, lots of provisional ballots out there. You have to believe that there will be a split between Cooper and McCrory. But a lot of these come from military families. And you have to believe that in many instances, these military families may be leaning more R than D. I think it's traditional that a gubernatorial candidate that has a plurality of votes on election night is going to stand up and proclaim victory, but it may be premature. He may end up eating those words. But it sets up a very interesting scenario in North Carolina. The Republicans retained control, the supermajority, in both houses of the legislature.
Which is veto-proof, by the way.
Veto-proof legislature. Now you've got, assuming that Cooper wins, you've got a Democratic governor that you know is going to be pulling out a veto stamp just about every time he takes a breath. And you've got now a Democratic control of the state Supreme Court, with Mike Morgan being elected over there.
Which was really, when you peel back the onion, that was the big win for Democrats last night. People think it might be the governor's race if Roy Cooper prevails, but the big win is the fact that Mike Morgan defeats Bob Edmonds, the conservative judge on the Supreme Court, and gives the control of the Supreme Court in the state of North Carolina.
And who saw that coming?
Back to the Democrats.
I mean, we talked about it on NC Spin last week, and I think most all of us sort of felt like Bob Edmonds would retain that seat.
Yes, though in retrospect, if I'd looked at the ballot more closely, I would have understood better what was likely to happen. The Republicans were listed first in almost in all the partisan races in every ballot. But when you got to the Supreme Court race, Mike Morgan was listed first. Bob Edmonds was listed second. There was no party labels, unlike even the Court of Appeals races.
Right.
So as I mentioned earlier in the show, more people voted in the Court of Appeals races in North Carolina than voted for the Supreme Court by a significant margin because it was partisan.
You've got an interesting situation taking place there because the Republicans are going to be controlling the Court of Appeals courts.
And that is where most cases end.
Right.
That most cases don't go to the Supreme Court. But the big ones will. And keep in mind that the Republican-controlled Supreme Court struck some things down that the Republican legislature did. So it's not an entirely partisan matter, but there are some issues that have been litigated before the Supreme Court that I think Democrats will now relitigate aggressively.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Down the ballot, this is the thing that blows your mind. Dan Forrest with a big win.
Big win.
6 percentage points over Linda Coleman for the lieutenant governor's race. Josh Stein, one of the only other races that the Democrats can claim this morning for attorney general, he defeats Buck Newton.
21,000 votes.
And it was close all night. And by the way, this was the other race that was flipped when the Durham County 90,000 mystery votes showed up last night.
As was the state auditor's race. That was also flipped.
Right, yeah.
And the commissioner of insurance race was very interesting.
But Mike Causey wins.
Mike Causey, this is his third time running against Lane Goodwin? Maybe fourth.
It could be.
Wins by 39,000 votes. That's a big upset so far as...
I will have to tell you that is somewhat surprising, though Causey was on the ballot several times, so maybe people start to remember his name. I will tell you the one that completely floored me was Mark Johnson, who is an attorney, a former teacher. He's on the school board in Winston-Salem for Forsyth County.
And virtually an unknown.
And I know him.
Yeah.
So he's important.
As a statewide in a statewide race.
Yes, he had virtually no money. But he defeated the state's superintendent of public instruction, June Atkinson. That is a significant event, particularly because if Cooper wins, he will control the State Board of Education.
June didn't really want to run this time anyway. She had to be talked into running for re-election. She was ready to retire. I guess she gets to retire a little sooner than perhaps maybe she thought. That is a big upset.
Dale Falwell wins the treasurer's race over Dan Blue, the third.
I don't think that was
not a big surprise.
Because
I didn't think so
the
either.
State Employees Association, that was one of their top priorities. They have a lot of members across the state. These were all fairly close races, but notice that maybe Dale Falwell would have won anyway, because several other Republicans won council state races, but his margin was larger because of that State Employee Association support.
Yeah, 240,000 votes. I mean, that one's just unquestionable.
And he also worked really hard.
Let's go back to the governor's race. Tom Campbell, what happens now? We're hearing Pat McCrory's talking to lawyers. We're hearing potential litigation over the Durham County situation. There's clearly going to be a recount, which I think will be triggered automatically because the total is less than 0.5%, which is automatic in North Carolina. In addition to that, you have about 8,000 provisional ballots coming in, as you mentioned earlier, and he's down 5,001 votes. Where do you see this going?
Well, there is a pathway. I think that McCrory could perhaps win. I would say that it is improbable. I suspect that what we've set up is, we're going to have one of the most interesting 2017 legislative sessions that we've seen in many a year, assuming the results hold. A Democratic governor, a strongly controlled Republican legislature. You're going to be in a situation, an attorney general that's a Democrat. It's going to be a circus.
John, how long is it going to take to sort this thing out and get us a governor?
It's going to take a while to get this sorted out, as
at
you
least
say.
November 18th.
That's right. And I think if there's litigation, who knows? Remember, those Durham precincts were opened later. It was a decision that was made at, I think, 6:30.
Right.
When the polls were closing at 7:30. There were attempts to do even more. There were attempts to get the Durham precincts, all the precincts, extended until 9 o'clock. The Clinton campaign tried to do it. Jim Hunt weighed in, tried to do it. There was something going on in Durham, and I don't think that sort of something is wrong here element to this story is going to go away anytime soon.
No, in fact, I think it's probably going to be investigated and revealed even more closely than what it is.
Well, in the liberal group, Democracy North Carolina actually filed a lawsuit yesterday afternoon. Which was
quickly dismissed.
Right, but you had, if nothing else, there was a hot target by Democrats on what was happening all day yesterday in Durham County, and the fact that these 90,000 votes show up last night after midnight. Early voting votes show up after midnight in Durham County. It doesn't pass the smell test.
Well, the whole day was just a most unusual day. Who in the world would have ever really thought that Donald Trump was going to win this presidency? One of the commentators on CNN, I think this may be one of the buzzwords to take away from this. He said that Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the Democratic Party got white-lashed.
Also, Barack Obama has turned out to be perhaps the most incompetent party builder in modern American politics. He won his 2 races, and as a result, and partly because of his inaction or inability to work across party lines, he has essentially decimated the Democratic Party under his watch.
But let's be honest and say he had a flawed candidate, too. Hillary Clinton was not liked. She was not embraced. The African Americans let her down. Latinos let her down.
Trump was not embraced either at first.
Well, he was embraced.
If you look at those exit polls, Tom, in North Carolina and nationally, more people dislike Donald Trump than they dislike Hillary Clinton. He was not elected because people liked him.
No.
In fact, if you look at the polls, here's what happened. The people who were anti-Clinton voted for Trump. People who were anti-Trump voted for Clinton. But there was also about 15% of the vote who was anti-Trump and anti-Clinton. They don't like either one of them. They broke 65-35 for Trump.
Right.
That's what happened.
Right.
The anti-anti was the key
The message was whoever gets elected president controls the next Supreme Court nomination process.
Right.
It is
got
time,
that message out effectively.
and it is time to drain the swamp in Washington.
Right.
If there is a message to be received here, political hacks all across the country, and particularly those that are serving in our Congress, better have heard this one loud and clear.
The Trump rallies were huge. He was drawing thousands upon thousands of people. Bill Clinton did a rally in Greenville 2 weeks ago and drew 200 people.
Yeah.
This thing was happening right before our eyes, but the pollsters just refused to believe it. The national media refused to believe it. I was watching some of the NBC guys. They were shell-shocked. They were blaming it on Russia. We're going to hear all sorts of stuff.
As George Bush would have said, the pundits, the pollsters, the media types misunderestimated the anger in white America, in middle-class America.
But don't discount. I take all that point. But it is absolutely the case that Trump won this election because of people who broke in the last 2 weeks. That's why we won.
Yes.
And what was the major thing that happened the last 2 weeks?
Yeah,
It was absolutely the FBI looking and the WikiLeaks, all of that put together was probably the pivotal moment of this campaign. On that, the Democrats are not wrong. However, who created that problem?
Yeah, but they did. I was going to say
Hillary Clinton.
They didn't like her to start off with, and
Yeah.
this was just one more brick on top of the pile.
You know, I was watching the NBC guys last night, and they were talking about this is about Julian Assange, this is about Vladimir Putin. But you know what was going through my mind was Julian Assange has never been wrong. He's never been wrong. Everything he's ever put out turns out to be true, or at least has not been proven to be untrue.
You know, the WikiLeaks material was, of course, obtained illegally, stipulate all that. But it is damning not just to the Democrats and the Clinton campaign, but to the entire media apparatus of Washington, who were part of the Clinton campaign, and it is evident in the emails.
And Henry, we have to make mention of the fact that Trump said he was not running just against Hillary Clinton; he was running against the media. The media should have gotten a strong message here too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the media treats President Donald Trump. Man, did I just say that? President Donald Trump? It's gonna be an interesting ride. One last thing before we leave the presidential race. Brad Crone was in last hour, and we were talking about Donald Trump's promises. He now controls Congress. Republicans control. I don't know if he controls it, but Republicans control the Senate. They control the House. They control the presidency, the White House. They can do whatever they want to do. He said the first thing he'd do would be repeal Obamacare. I think he's going to do it, don't you?
No.
I think he is. Why do you
I think
not
he's going to have a hard time doing it.
He's not going to repeal it. He's going to change it.
Yes.
He's going to repeal and replace or change depending upon what language you choose. But they're not just going to repeal the bill. They're going to change it substantially. I do think something like that will happen in Congress.
I do too, but I think it was going to happen anyway.
What about the wall?
I think that was an excellent album, though I prefer Dark Side of the Moon.
John is
wait, you mean
John
that
is
ridiculous?
a natural radio morning man, and he's been misplaced in your career. Look, I got a great position available for $15.50 an hour.
Really? Well, I may have.
It beats what I'm getting paid now.
That job.
All right.
Unless you just raised my pay.
But here's the thing. Trump promised to build a wall. Is he going to build a wall?
No.
John? No wall? No dark side of the moon?
There will be additional border security measures enacted. But the day that Donald Trump actually builds a wall and forces Mexico to pay for it is the day that I will go live on the dark side of the moon.
Yes.
All right.
Of course, you also said that if Donald Trump won this election, you weren't going to be here because you would have been raptured.
That is what I said, yes. So apparently I'm a much more sinful person than I thought.
I see your suit, and I still think you're in it. All right, John Hood and Tom Campbell live with us this morning in downtown Raleigh, 28 minutes after 8. Are you guys going to stick around, or are you going to leave?
Sure.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break and come back. I do want to mention we're on the road all week this week. We're going to be live tomorrow. We're going to be in New Bern at the North Carolina History Center for our makeup of the Mumfest broadcast.
Michael's got his fingers crossed, by the way.
You guys might remember we had a little problem with Mumfest in New Bern when we had Hurricane Matthew blow through. But we'll be there tomorrow morning talking about all things New Bern. I just got an email from my buddy Scott Dacey. Scott, I hope you'll come over tomorrow morning. We'll be talking about a lot of things going on down in Craven County. And we want to thank our presenting sponsors tomorrow, our friends Bud Light from Bud Light, R.A. Jeffries, which distributes Bud Light, our friend Ray Wiley. Thank you, Ray, very much. Twin Rivers YMCA, George Oliver and Clayton Cheek from the law offices of Oliver and Cheek. Fantastic Sam's, 11 locations in eastern North Carolina. Thank you, Dana Palmer. And, of course, Denny Bucher and the great folks at Family Tire and Auto Service. Denny, a longtime public service in Craven County himself. He'll be with us tomorrow as well, we hope. Come on out and see us tomorrow morning. We're going to be live at the North Carolina History Center right next to Tryon Palace. And it's going to be a great morning. And Michael's are we going to be inside or outside? You decide yet? Don't be a wimp. Let's be outside. Let's be outside. I'll bring my jacket. I'll be fine. Wherever you set me up. That's
famous last words.
All right, 8:30. When we come back, Doug Raymond is standing by. He's been standing by all morning. Doug, hang on. We're going to get to you in the next segment. I'm also going to try to get someone from the McCrory campaign and get a statement from them this morning, which we told last night they would do. So stand by. All that coming up. More Talk of the Town live in the capital city, downtown Raleigh, from the Hampton Inn and Suites. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We're live on location in downtown Raleigh on Glenwood Avenue, just a couple of blocks away from the Capitol, the legislature building, and the governor's mansion. And we are at
This is as close as they'd let you get to it.
This is as close as I'll ever get to it. Hey, look, this is as close as I want to get to it. We are live at the Hampton Inn and Suites, thanks to our friends here at the Hampton Inn and Suites on Glenwood Avenue. Great place to stay. If you are looking for a Raleigh hotel, I highly suggest this place. I love this hotel. Great place to be. John Hood is here with me in the studio. It's our studio now. It's the conference room of the hotel. Also, Tom Campbell from NC Spin is here. I just was texting with Chris Lasavitas, the strategist for the McCrory campaign, and he is not going to come on. He says he is swamped in meetings. And I just read that text, and John Hood famously said,
well, he's after hanging chads.
He's already counting the hanging.
Not only that, but he's got some socks to wash out.
I mean, is this governor's race going to be like the hanging chad? Are we going to be I mean, I sense that and I can tell you, I was backstage last night with the governor, and Chris Lasavitas, who is his strategist. And I can tell you, the attitude back there was, we're going to look at every ballot. We're going to make sure everything's counted again.
I think there's going to be a cloud over this election until at least November 18th, when the canvass is done, and possibly even beyond that, with potential lawsuits.
Let's go back to our Greenville studios. Our friend Doug Raymond is standing by and has been all morning. Doug, I'm sorry we've taken so long to get to you. Bigger names on the other line, my friend. How are you this morning?
I'm okay. Me and Pat been hanging out. I didn't even know you were in Raleigh. I came by to see Michael. I was looking for some breakfast. I stopped in, early, and I've been here an hour and a half.
Sorry about that. I meant to get you on early. Doug, of course, you know him from NC Spin. You know him from hosting my show when I'm gone a lot of times. And, of course, what you may not know is that Doug is one of the top political consultants in the state. Full disclosure, you are the consultant for Dr. Greg Murphy. That was a huge victory. So congratulations to you on that race.
Well, congratulations to Dr. Murphy and the hard work. I know you talked to him earlier, and he was not embellishing. He was at early voting every second the polls were open, and it's just an amazing with his schedule and what he has before him. It was an amazing amount of effort that he put in, not just during early voting, but the entire campaign.
Henry, let me underscore what you just said. I think Doug Raymond is one of the better political consultants in North Carolina, and I'll tell you why. He is a very common sense person. He immediately looks at what is it going to take to win this particular race, what resources do I have, how can I make this happen. He doesn't overcomplicate it. He just goes right to the heart of it. The primary election for Buck Newton, I think, was one of the best things he's ever done. I'm backing Buck.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
Yep. Well,
that's me. Simple. You got it.
Simple, Doug.
Dr. Murphy won 57-42. You know what we have not talked about, some of the other Eastern North Carolina House races. Susan Martin, it looked like Susan was in trouble all night, and then she pulls it out over Charlie Pat Ferris in the very last precinct, which we understand were some inner Wilson City precincts. So Susan Martin retains her seat over a very strong challenge from the Democrat, Charlie Pat Ferris. She wins 21,187 votes to 20,985 votes. Quick, that's about 85.
A lot of people had predicted that one was going to change.
Yeah, that was one of the ones. I mean, well, look, we kept hearing that there were going to be 10 to 14 House seats lost by the Republicans, and the Republicans ended up actually gaining a seat. I mean, is that Doug Raymond? Is that Trump coattails?
No, it absolutely is, and I'm sorry that I just kind of am chuckling this morning because of everybody was just the weeping and gnashing of teeth on what Trump was going to do to all the people on the ballot in North Carolina. Trump saved a lot of people in North Carolina. Yeah. And the thing that I find fascinating is that, Henry, I've told you how election night is for me. I have a computer with about 8 windows open where I'm constantly refreshing, looking at different counties and precincts where my clients are to see the results as they come in. But I did have the TV on in the hotel room, and I was listening to Fox News just kind of passively. And then I heard something, and I just stopped because I couldn't believe it. They were showing like a county in Pennsylvania that Obama had carried 67% last time, 64% the time before. Trump was carrying it by the same numbers. You understand, this was a vote for change, just like Obama was, but it was a totally different group of people that were voting for change. And it's just amazing that what happened. But I think the thing that I'm most happy about on a personal level, and Tom was nice enough. Tom and I had a wonderful phone call yesterday. I hadn't heard from him in a while, and it was really nice, and he can vouch for this. So we talked about this. I told him, I said, my prayer is this will be the end of this nonsense with polling. There is no way these polls are accurate, between cell phones, between people that just literally
Why?
mess with the pollsters. I have seen, polls and where individual people, I've pulled them out, and they're just, you can almost hear them giggling as they're giving the answers. And, I think part of it is news agencies that are lazy and they use polls as news. I think some of it is manipulation, but I haven't trusted a poll for years, and maybe people will finally realize, unless they find a new way to do it, the way they're doing it is not accurate.
And some of it is dislike of the media, Doug.
Sure. I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of reasons, but I'm just saying, I guess at this point I can tell you, that's not any insider stuff. 2 months ago, a poll was done that said that Greg Murphy was up by 2 against Brian Farkas. And I told the person that did the poll, I said, don't you ever waste another dime polling this race. If you think that he is only up by 2, you have lost your mind. I mean, we knew what was going on the ground. We saw the cross-section of support. But, I mean, it was absolute nonsense. And, so I'm very glad that maybe we'll get out of this poll obsession. And now the next thing is that I'm amazed that hasn't been talked about is, obviously there's kind of a shock Trump won this, but we've got the presidency, we've got the Senate, we've got the House. Now, what do you do? Traditionally, when Republicans get in this position, and instead of saying, okay, in 2 years this could change, let's get to work, they start talking about bipartisan and reaching across the aisle. I don't think that's why Trump won, because people wanted him to go up there and be bipartisan and reach across the aisle. And I'm glad he said the nice things.
I don't say that's not going to be an issue with him.
I'm glad he said the nice things after it was over, but they need to go there and they need to hit the ground running and just follow the agenda. Because I'm going to tell you, if the Republicans have 2 years of total control of the Congress and the presidency, and they don't get the core things done that are so important to the Republican voters, you've already seen an exodus of Republicans going to unaffiliated because they were just sick of them not sticking to core values. Yeah. I know Trump's not a conservative, but there are issues, Obamacare being one of them, that can change, and they've got their chance now. And if they sit there and try to, play politics and get along with everybody, they're going to screw up their own party just the way the Democrats have.
Good points, Doug. Before we let you go, I wanted to mention one. We have not talked about the House race in District 6. This is the Warren Judge Beverly Boswell race, and this, of course, is the district in our listening area from Dare County that kind of snakes around all the way down into Beaufort County. Part of the Beaufort County's in it. Beverly Boswell, the Republican, she's a Dare County commissioner. Warren Judge, another Dare County commissioner, who passed away in the last few days. There's some question about when he actually passed away. It was announced Sunday that he passed away. There were rumors that he had been on life support for a couple of days. We know that he had a heart attack, was sent to Centera Hospital in Norfolk. But they continued to run Warren Judge ads with him on the ads right up to Election Day. So
instead of dead people voting, they're voting for dead people.
Well, I mean, I have to say this. You have to question the forget the issue of politics. I just felt really strange about the fact that the Democratic Party was continuing to run these ads, A, and B, they then talked his wife into running. A grieving widow is talked into putting her name up to run against Beverly Boswell. And it looked for a long time like he might win last night.
But it happened in Durham County, too.
Yeah. But Beverly Boswell did end up winning. The Republican wins at 51, about 52% to 48%. But that race was close all night. And, if Warren Judge had won that race, I think we'd see other questions about how that went down.
Well, Henry, I'm going to be honest with you. Two things. Number one, a man passed away, and it's, it's kind of the amount of discussion as if it's just a name on the ballot is a little bit, I do think we need a little bit of perspective here, and I'm not just talking about our discussion. I'm saying what was being said up there and things. But the other thing is, I don't know. I heard the argument about the ads. If those were TV ads, that's what I do for a living, is place those. You can't pull those on a moment's notice, and especially when there was a weekend involved. So so some of that may have just been they were already in the hopper, and you can't pull it. But
to that point, Doug, I saw ads Tuesday morning.
Well, it's an unfortunate situation. Obviously, you don't want to get to the point where we're just talking about names on a ballot. A human being lost their life, and we may not have agreed with them politically, but everything that I know about, I've done some campaigning up on that area for other people, and I know of him, and he was a good man, but it's just one of those things that every time you think you've seen it all in politics, something else happens. And dear Lord, we should have known when the Cubs won the World Series that there was something going on cosmically. and now,
we got to get a break. Let me say this about Warren Judge. I did want to say that I had made a comment on yesterday's show about Commissioner Judge. I did not know him, but I've heard wonderful things about him. I heard he was a wonderful man, good family man, done a lot of nice things. Governor McCrory actually talked about how he had worked with Warren Judge on some of the issues down there with the Oregon Inlet Bridge and some other things in Dare County. So I don't mean to, I did make that statement yesterday, Doug, but you're absolutely right. A person passed away, and it's tragic. But, again, the way the Democrats dealt with it was, I thought, something that needs to be discussed. I still believe that. Listen, thank you, my friend. Congratulations again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Henry. Good, and John and Tom, good to talk to y'all.
It's 8:46. Michael says we've got to get our last break in. We'll do that, and we'll come back, and we'll close out things here in Raleigh with Tom Campbell and John Hood with some final thoughts about the governor's race. Where do we go from here? What is North Carolina's political scene going to be like? And, is the McCrory situation as devastating as it feels this morning to the Republican Party, or should the Republican Party go from here and feel like, well, we've got everything else that we needed? So we'll talk about all that when we come back.
Event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
My prescription refills.
My son shot records.
My doctor's appointments.
My lab results. My parents' care.
My chart.
Vidant My Chart.
Vidant MyChart is the secure online patient portal that lets you manage your health your way. Visit VidantMyChart.com or call 1-855-MyVidant to learn how you can sign up.
That's a tough shot. You're right. Can't bear to look. This must be what Luke Kuechly feels like when he takes the field.
Man, this is what Kevin must have felt like when he swished that game winner.
Look for limited edition Pepsi Panthers cans and packaging in stores now. Pepsi, official soft drink of the Carolina Panthers.
Football fans, join the Undaunted Crew on Saturday, November 12th, when East Carolina football takes on the Mustangs of SMU at noon. Celebrate Military Appreciation Weekend with military-themed displays, a pre-game flyover, and much more. For tickets or more information, call 800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com. Join Pirate Nation and show your undaunted support for Pirate football and our military on Saturday the 12th at noon versus SMU.
Every wireless provider has towers in the city, But U.S. Cellular put towers in places the other guys didn't. So you can video chat at your secret fishing spot. Or stream way out here. Because U.S. Cellular thinks you deserve a signal that works wherever you are. U.S. Cellular, a stronger signal in the middle of anywhere.
Visit Real Wireless, your local U.S. Cellular authorized agent in Ahoskie, Williamston, and Windsor for the best deals in wireless and great service on a network that works in the middle of anywhere.
We're setting prices way back at Greenville Toyota. Camrys, not $20,000, just $16,900. That's Camrys, fallback price $16,900. Plus, get our advantage during the fallback savings event at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Okay, welcome back. We are live on location this morning in Raleigh, downtown Raleigh. And as always, our show brought to you by Acre Station. And the Acre Station folks are having their big 3-day truckload sale. It begins Thursday morning. These city folks up here in Raleigh, John Hood and Tom Campbell, should be so fortunate as to have you ever been to Acre Station?
I have not.
You ever heard of Acre
Station?
Station?
To hear about it.
I'm hearing about it now.
I can tell you right now, it's on Highway 32 between Washington and Plymouth. They produce their own meat right there on the lot, and they once a year they have their big 3-day pre-holiday truckload meat sale, and they're having it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 3 days only. And the best prices of the year on New York strips, just $4.99 a pound. Chicken drumsticks, $3.99 a pound. Whole sliced ribeyes, just $6.99 a pound.
It's good price.
Best prices you're ever going to see, and I'm telling you, it's really good stuff. They've got Boston butt pork roast, holiday hams, 99 cents. Holiday smoked hams, 99 cents a pound. It's this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only, at Acre Station Meat Farm, 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. There are no rain checks. You got to get there Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Tomorrow is Thursday, right? So It starts tomorrow morning early.
My wife will be down there tomorrow, as a matter of fact, for a funeral.
And I'd like to say that Tom Campbell was channeling his old radio days when I was sitting here reading the grocery prices. He thought he was back at WGAI in Elizabeth City. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. Final thoughts. You had an interesting stat, John Hood.
I wanted to observe the fact that if you look at North Carolina, the presidential race, the Senate race, the governor's race, there's an interesting dynamic. Essentially, Richard Burr was the top vote getter in North Carolina. He outpolled Donald Trump significantly.
We hadn't even talked about Burr.
That was which is interesting because he actually was the top vote getter. But if you look down the ballot, what happened basically in the governor's race is that Pat McCrory got about 60,000 fewer votes than Donald Trump did in North Carolina. Roy Cooper got almost 120,000 more votes for governor than Hillary Clinton did for president in North Carolina.
Do you attribute that to HB2?
Clearly, there are some split tickets. This is not just people who voted for president and then they stopped. There were lots of people, we don't know exactly how many, but there were a substantial number of voters in North Carolina who voted for Donald Trump, Richard Burr, and Roy Cooper. Now, the question is why? Some of it may have been, well, whoever's in power, whoever's in the White House, that party, I'm voting against that party. Whoever's in the governor's mansion, I'm voting against that party. That could be part of it. But I suspect another part of it is a certain number of voters, probably disproportionately women in the suburbs in Wake County, Mecklenburg County, traditionally Republican voters, HB2, and more generally, gay and lesbian type issues make them uncomfortable. They want their party to be more welcoming. Donald Trump is. Pat McCrory was seen as the champion of HB2. I think that may have shifted some votes and helps to explain. Now, there are other matters. I mean, the toll issue in northern Mecklenburg County, southern Ottawa County, the toll road was unpopular, but Pat McCrory probably lost several thousand votes from traditionally Republican voters in that area. So you can add it all up, but the big number, Roy Cooper getting almost 120,000 more votes than Pat McCrory. There's something there, some split ticketers making some choices.
Henry, I'm gonna on NC Spin this week. Let me just give you a little tip off. I'm gonna talk about the governor's race. There were two storms that I think affected the governor's race. The first one was HB2. The second one was Hurricane Matthew. All of the polls showed that Cooper was anywhere from 2 to 6 points ahead of Pat McCrory all through this race until Hurricane Matthew, where he acted very gubernatorial, did a stellar job. The question that I've got is, obviously that wasn't enough to overcome HB2 storm.
Yeah, I think, I said this, by the way, I was interviewed by a Charlotte TV station last night, and I said this because I was on in Charlotte. I said, I think it's clear that the HB2 strategy worked.
Backfired.
I mean, I think it worked.
Oh, yeah.
Roy Cooper's
Cooper's
strategy.
yes.
That's correct.
Right. Yeah. I think the HB2 thing was a political strategy from day one. I think that it was designed to defeat Pat McCrory, which is really interesting because, not pointing fingers at anybody, but it originated in the legislature. Legislature didn't lose anything last night.
That's correct.
Significant, but the state of North Carolina, in my opinion, has lost the best, most hard-working governor if this thing stands. And again, it's going to probably take weeks to sort it out. Hopefully, there's going to be, I still think they're going to be looking at those guys' faces backstage last night. I think you're going to see lawsuits. You're going to see challenges. You're going to see people looking at ballots across the state for weeks is what's getting ready to happen.
It could. I mean, even if the recount process unfolds, the litigation ends, I think there will still be a cloud over this election. There'll still be controversial.
All right, we are done. That was a lot of fun. We need to do this more often. Michael doesn't want to. He had to get up at 3:30 in the morning in Mark Rizzo. I want to thank all of our guests that have the phone guests, Doug Raymond back at the studio, Brad Crone, Tom Campbell, John Hood. Thank you guys very much. It was very nice of you to get up and do this for me.
We would do most anything for you, Henry.
Well, it's very nice.
You have come up to Raleigh a number of times.
I wasn't going to say anything about what I've done.
NC Spin. My wife said the least you can do is get up and put on your big boy pants and go down there and be with Henry.
And he finally found the right hotel after a couple of tries this morning. Thank you, Tom. Good to see you, my friend. NC Spin. This weekend will be more coverage. Thanks to everybody. Again, we'll be live at the North Carolina History Center in New Bern. Come out and see us tomorrow morning as we kick off MumFest. So long from Raleigh.